The silence in my own house was the first thing that broke me. It wasn't a peaceful silence, it was the kind of silence that happens when you are standing in a room full of people who have decided you are invisible. It was my 10-year wedding anniversary. I had spent 6 hours in the kitchen preparing a 5-course meal. I had burned my wrist on the oven rack, the red welt stinging every time I stirred the risotto. I didn't care. I wanted everything to be perfect for Marcus. But when the clock struck 8 p.m., the front door opened, and Marcus walked in with Margaret. They didn't even look at the candles. They didn't smell the truffle oil. "Why are the lights so dim?" Marcus asked, his voice dripping with irritation. "I told you, I'm exhausted. Margaret needs the guest room ready by tonight. She's staying for the week." "It's our anniversary, Marcus," I said, my voice trembling. Margaret scoffed, tossing her designer coat onto the chair I had meticulously vacuumed. "Oh, stop being so dramatic. Every day is an anniversary when you're living off my son's hard work. Now, be a dear and get my bags." I looked at Marcus. I waited for him to defend me. I waited for him to say, "Mom, not tonight." Instead, he checked his watch. "I have a conference call in 10 minutes. Just clear the table, I need the space for my laptop." That was the moment the string snapped. I wasn't a wife. I wasn't even a housekeeper. I was a ghost they were tired of seeing. So, I decided to become one. I didn't pack a bag. That would look like I ran away. I wanted it to look like I had simply evaporated into thin air. At 11 p.m., while Marcus was snoring and Margaret was watching loud talk shows in the guest wing, I grabbed my car keys, my phone, and a single bottle of water. I drove to a motel 3 towns over, a place where no one knew the woman who used to be a high-end interior designer before she gave it all up to support her husband's career. I checked in under my maiden name. Then, I turned off my phone. I sat on the edge of the scratchy motel bed and stared at the blank TV screen. I wondered how long it would take. Would Marcus wake up at 2 a.m., reach across the cold sheets, and panic? Would he call the police by 6 a.m.? I woke up at 7:30 a.m. to the sound of birds outside. My heart was racing. I felt a surge of guilt. They must be terrified, I thought. I imagined the sirens, the frantic phone calls to my sister, Sarah. I imagined my daughter, Emily, crying because I wasn't there to make her breakfast. I turned my phone on for just 60 seconds to check the notifications. 0 missed calls, 2 text messages. I opened them, my breath hitching. Message 1 from Marcus at 7:15 a.m. "Where did you put my blue tie? And tell the maid she missed the spot under the coffee table. Don't be late picking up Emily from practice." Message 2 from Sarah at 8 a.m. "Hey, can I borrow your steamer? I'm coming over at noon, don't be out." No one was looking for me. They were looking for the services I provided. I felt a cold, hard stone settle in my stomach. I turned the phone back off. I couldn't just sit in the motel. I needed to see it. I drove back to our neighborhood, wearing a heavy hoodie and sunglasses, parking my car 2 blocks away. I walked through the woods behind our estate until I could see the backyard. What I saw burned more than the oven mark on my wrist. Sarah was there, my own sister. She wasn't crying. She was sitting on the patio furniture, drinking a mimosa with Margaret. They were laughing. "She's probably just pouting at a hotel somewhere," I heard Margaret's voice carry over the fence. "She's always been so desperate for attention. Marcus is better off. He actually got his work done this morning without her hovering. I just hope she didn't take the credit card," Sarah replied, swirling her drink. "I really needed her to bankroll that trip we talked about." My blood turned to ice. I looked for Emily, my sweet daughter. I saw her come out to the porch. Surely, she would ask where I was. "Dad says Mom is on a timeout because she's being difficult," Emily told her aunt. "Can we go to the mall since she's not here to make me do chores?" "Of course, sweetie," Sarah said, patting her head. They weren't worried. They were relieved. I was the burden that had finally removed itself. I realized then that I hadn't just lost 48 hours, I had lost the last 10 years of my life to people who viewed me as an appliance. I went back to the motel. I didn't cry this time. The sadness had been replaced by a sharp, vibrating rage. I realized that if I was a ghost, I might as well haunt them. I turned my phone back on. It was now 9 p.m. 22 hours since I left. Finally, a call came through. It was Marcus. I answered, but I didn't say a word. Where the hell are you? He barked. No, are you okay? No, I was worried. Just pure, unadulterated anger. The house is a mess. Margaret is hungry, and I had to order pizza like a college student. Get back here right now before I lock the gates. The gates are already locked, Marcus, I said, my voice sounding like a stranger's. But you're the one trapped inside. Not me. I hung up. I knew what I had to do. I didn't just want to show up. I wanted to finish what they started. I spent the next 6 hours on my laptop, accessing the bank accounts they thought I never checked, the ones in my name that Marcus had been using to funnel his bonuses. I saw the transfers to Sarah. I saw the jewelry purchases for clients that didn't exist. Hour 30 was approaching. The game was about to change. While Marcus was busy leaving me voicemails that shifted from, "Get home now," to, "I'm canceling your cards," I was sitting in the back corner of a quiet 24-hour diner, staring at a laptop screen that was systematically dismantling my life. I have always been the quiet one. The one who handles the spreadsheets, the one who files the taxes, the one who keeps the gears of the family turning while Marcus plays the big shot CEO. He thought I was just clicking buttons. He didn't realize I had access to everything. I logged into our joint investment portal. My heart stopped. There was a transfer, $200,000, moved just 3 days ago into a private offshore account. The recipient wasn't a business. It was a trust titled, the MM. Legacy. Marcus and Margaret. They weren't just waiting for me to be difficult so they could complain. They were actively draining the inheritance my father had left me, preparing to cut me out of the very life I had built. I looked further. There were payments to a high-end law firm specializing in aggressive divorces. The date of the first consultation. 2 months ago. They had been planning to get rid of me long before I decided to go missing. My 48-hour experiment wasn't a test of their love, it was a glimpse into my own execution. I felt a cold, metallic taste in my mouth. Rage is a powerful fuel. It stopped my hands from shaking. I spent the next 4 hours making my own transfers. If Marcus wanted to play with the MM legacy, he was about to find out that the M actually stood for my maiden name. I moved every cent of my inheritance, the money that legally belonged to me before the marriage, into a vault he couldn't touch. Then, I sent an encrypted file to a friend from my past, a forensic accountant who owed my father a favor. Find the dirt, I messaged him. I want the receipts for every client dinner Marcus took Sarah to. Yes, Sarah, my sister. I found the Uber logs. Linked to our family account. Dozens of trips between her apartment and Marcus's private office at midnight. Hour 36 arrived. I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I felt like a predator. I waited until the precise moment of maximum impact. It was New Year's Eve, the night of the grand gala Marcus hosted every year to impress his board of directors. I knew the routine. The house would be filled with the city's elite. Margaret would be wearing the pearls she stole from my jewelry box, and Sarah would be hovering near Marcus, playing the supportive sister-in-law, while I was supposedly away on a mental health break. I didn't go home to change. I went to the most expensive boutique in the city. I used the one credit card Marcus forgot existed, the one tied to my personal business account. I bought a dress the color of a bruise, deep, dark purple silk. At 9 p.m., I pulled my car up to my own driveway. The valet didn't recognize me at first because I wasn't wearing the mom uniform of leggings and an oversized sweater. I walked toward the front door of my mansion. I could hear the clinking of champagne glasses. I could hear Marcus's booming, arrogant laugh. I didn't use my key. I rang the doorbell. When the maid opened it, she gasped. "Ma'am, you're back." "I'm more than back, Marie," I whispered. "I'm home." I walked into the ballroom. The music seemed to stutter as people noticed me. I wasn't the frantic, disappearing woman they expected. I was a vision of absolute, terrifying calm. I spotted them near the grand staircase. Marcus had his arm around Sarah's waist, just a little too low to be brotherly. Margaret was holding court, telling a group of women how difficult it had been to manage the household since I had suffered my little breakdown. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I walked straight to the microphone the jazz band was using. The screech of feedback silenced the room. "Good evening, everyone," I said, my voice steady as a heartbeat. "I apologize for my 48-hour absence. I was busy doing a little New Year's cleaning. Marcus's face went from pale to a sickly shade of gray. Sarah stepped away from him so fast she nearly tripped on her hem. I went looking for someone to miss me, I continued, looking directly into Marcus's eyes. I looked for a husband, but I only found a thief. I looked for a sister, but I only found a shadow. And I looked for a mother-in-law, but I only found a squatter. Stop this, Margaret hissed, stepping forward. You're embarrassing yourself. Oh, Margaret, I smiled, and it was the coldest thing I've ever done. The only thing embarrassed tonight is your bank account. I've frozen the Trust, and since this house was purchased with my father's estate, the locks will be changed at midnight. Happy New Year. The room erupted. Marcus tried to rush the stage, but I wasn't alone anymore. 2 men in suits, the private security I had hired with the last of the liquid cash, stepped in front of him. You can't do this, Marcus yelled, his mask finally slipping. I've worked for this. You're nothing without me. I was nothing with you, I replied. Now, I'm just the woman who knows where the offshore accounts are hidden. And the IRS is going to be very interested in why your business is paying for Sarah's rent. Sarah started to cry, the ugly, panicked kind of sobbing. She looked at Emily, who was standing in the doorway, watching the whole thing. I looked at my daughter. That was the only part that hurt. But then, Emily did something I didn't expect. She didn't run to her father. She didn't go to her aunt. She walked over to me, took my hand, and looked at Marcus. You told me she didn't want us anymore, Emily said, her voice small but sharp. But you're the one who stopped looking. The clock struck midnight. The fireworks began to go off over the lake, lighting up the room in flashes of red and white. I didn't stay to watch them leave. I walked out the front door with my daughter, leaving the chaos, the lies, and the ghosts behind. I had gone missing for 48 hours to see who would come looking. In the end, no one came looking for me. So, I found myself. And she was someone you should never have crossed.